listening to a podcast that I appreciate very much from How Stuff Works the other day, and was curious about a question that they drew up, which I've always been curious about. And their question was, what is a game? Can you define a game the same way that you could define, say, a triangle? Triangle, obviously, 3 sides, 3 angles, and closed loop, 180 degrees, done. Whereas a game, you might not be able to put the same strict criteria on what makes a game. And me being a video game player and a hockey enthusiast and a runner, I'm involved with games all the time. And a big question growing up was, what is the difference between a game and a sport? And I played golf, and I would hear that argument all the time. Is golf a sport or is it a game? I don't know. I'm inclined to say that it is a sport because there is a great deal of physical precision through your body required, and a level of stamina required. And a higher level of stamina will give you an advantage in the game, which would make it a sport. But I understand that it's not a direct team competition. You know, you don't need to hit your ball a certain place based on the placement of another player's ball on your team. You want to do the best you can every single time, no matter what. But then running requires a great deal of physical stamina. And there is a direct goal. You are in direct competition with other people. And then on the team aspect of it, with the team, you are definitely more involved in a particular way. Because the coach can shout, team will win if you overtake 2 people. And then you got to overtake those 2 people. I'm, of course, referring to cross-country running. But then team baton passing was also a huge part of a team on track and field running. So how can we define actually what a game actually is? And then how do we define what a game versus a sport is? So these are interesting questions. Now, I don't have an answer for you. Absolutely not. I'm just going to kick some ideas around and let you guys figure it out. So game-wise, another part of the game that makes things interesting, is what makes a game, is that you can take a game like backgammon. It is designed as a game. Backgammon, definitely a game. I mean, it's pieces that serve absolutely no function other than competitive diversion. So perhaps that's the description. A game is anything built exclusively for competitive diversion. And I'm not going to say that this was exclusively my idea, but the How Stuff Works podcast also mentioned, well, you could take something that was not exclusively competitive diversion and make a game out of it. If you have to, you got to carry firewood from the shed inside the house. We need 12 cords of firewood brought into the house. All right, so you two get at it, and you build pile A and you build pile B, and whoever builds a bigger pile, by the time we get 12 cords, is going to be the winner. And you win an extra slice of meat with dinner. Thinking like colonial times or something, I'm not sure what. All right, go! And they start racing, and the game makes the work more fun and makes it more efficient on the surface, of course. And as long as you don't take it too deep, I think that consistently that gamifying that is a good idea. Now, you could run into situations where you focus more on winning the game than you do actually the goal behind the game of getting the firewood into the house. But that's when you take it too deep. On the surface, what you are asking to do is just a fun way of creating a positive effect, which would be similar to, you can gamify running. And if you used Map My Run, you don't need to be strictly competitive. And, people have always gamified without electronics. People would always say, all right, here we go. We're going to go do a friendly competitive race every Tuesday night. Montgomery County Roadrunners Club, part of a club that I've ran with from time to time. I wouldn't say I'm a member, but I've ran with them occasionally. These are guys who just get together just because they like running in groups rather than running by themselves. And even that's a mite of gamification there. But then, with Map My Run, you take it to the nth degree. You say, well, this is my loop. I'm going to see how well I can do that loop every time, and I'm going to get badges for doing it more, and I'm going to be able to boast that I got to the next level. And in addition to that, people will be able to see my loop, and they will be able to compete with me. So these are all interesting concepts, but we've completely missed the fact is that what actually, I mean, we haven't completely missed it, but we need to get back to it. What is a game? Is it simply a competitive diversion, something that's built exclusively to be competitively divergent? Well, what about single-player games? Is that competitive at all? Like solitaire, especially. How is that competitive? You win or you don't. I guess it's being competitive because you are trying to win. But then you can take solitary and other solitary games. I mean, let's just say you're playing basketball, you're by yourself. You say, all right, I'm going to shoot 100 times, and I'm going to see how many baskets I can make. And then you gamify that with yourself and map my run. You don't need to be competitive with other people. You could be competitive with just yourself. You can go out and play golf every week and just try and make your score better. But then let's bring this into video games. So video games, obviously, competitive diversions. You're competing against a machine. You're playing Super Mario Brothers. This machine has been programmed to move in certain ways to make it difficult for you to get past, so that you, the character, the avatar of Mario, will die if you do not proceed through the level in a certain way. And by death, I mean failure. And after so many tries, you have now failed and have not succeeded. And of course, it tallies up your score. You know how many fun things how many levels you proceeded through, and how many fun things you did along the way, coins you collected, enemies you stomped on. The higher up the pole you get. And of course, other games are exactly the same. So after discussing this, all the different types of games and games that could potentially be sports, I feel like any kind of competitive diversion is a game. And if it happens to be tacked on top of something that is not exclusively a competitive diversion, like chopping wood, moving it, and there's got to be things that we did as kids. Let's make a game out of it. I can't think of a single one. Who can clean up their room faster? Not sure. I tell you what it was. Book It. Book It would gamify and reward something for you. Can you read a book every single day? Well, do that 7 days straight, and we'll give you a pizza. Book It being a reading program put on by, what do you call it? Pizza Hut. So, after discussing it thoroughly, I'm pretty satisfied with that. Anything built for competitive diversion is a game. And if you tack on competitive diversion onto something that is not built exclusively for it, by Jove, it's still a game. So, is this a game to you? How do you reconcile that phrase? Is this a game to you? You know, people who like to tease their significant others. The significant other gets tired of it. Is this a game to you? Why do you play these games? That might just be a turn of phrase. But it's a turn of phrase because the person is turning something that's important to the other into a competitive diversion. Well, that's some food for thought for you there. In any event, play some games, have a good time. Hope you can beat Super Mario Brothers.